I'm going to speak to you today about food insecurity. Over 17 million people in the U.S. suffer from food insecurity. It's not just those that are hungry, but it's those that want to try to provide for them that suffer too. Let me give you a quick story. This is a real story. Back in Bloomington, Illinois, a noon hour teacher is monitoring the lunchroom over noon hour. And she notices a young lad, third grade. He ate half of his sandwich and the other half he stuck in his pocket. She had to go over and tell him that he couldn't do that. He said, "But it's for my brother at home." There's two people affected there, the hungry brother at home and the brother that's at school trying to learn, trying to help his brother. And now he's faced with the dilemma, he can't take that half a sandwich home. But fortunately, the teacher took it serious. She went to the principal. She explained the situation. After some time, Midwest Food Bank and the school had some discussion, and a backpack program was launched because of the third grader. So I'm standing in front of you today only to tell you that I'm just a small part of what's happening here. There's a lot that's happened at Midwest Food Bank. I hope a lot that will still happen. And I hope because of this crowd today, more people will feel they've been helped through that insecure feeling from not having enough food. This was a warehouse that we, as a family, in 2003, felt like we could help 10 nonprofit agencies in our hometown. 10 agencies would be Salvation Army, Home Sweet Home Mission, Homeless Shelter, some churches. Our goal was to try to help keep food in their pantries so that they could help feed the people in our community that were in need. And as those 10 agencies started getting assistance, they shared with others, and other agencies wanted to come and get food. So I'm going to show you here in a minute some growth at the Midwest Food Bank. It's not the growth that I'm concerned about. I'm very thankful for that growth because every time we grow, other people are touched and lives are changed because we can help them find the food that they need. And I have to say to you that the mission is to try to find food, distribute, bring it to our warehouse, distribute it to the nonprofits. And we get shelf stable, we get perishables, but our goal is to bring the food in and simply once a month distribute it out to the agencies. And they can take it back and they can put it in their pantry shelves and feed people. So I'm going to run through a series of growth, but I want you to remember, if you will, that this is the first warehouse, and when I get to the last warehouse, I want you to see the difference that people have made. You and me kind of people. The difference we made. This warehouse here in the first year was able to do $120,000 worth of relief, meaning we was able to go out and find enough food, either donated or purchased, bring it in and give it out. And we was able to serve 10 agencies, which was approximately 500 people in our hometown. A family endeavor, and we felt very good that we could help our community. But something like this is contagious. And it wasn't very long we had to move into another building because of this. These are not families, these are agencies coming for help. And so it was our goal as a nonprofit to do what you should do when you have a for-profit, and that is a 4-hour waiting line is too long for anybody that's waiting to help serve somebody else. So our family discussed it. By then we had other people from our community helping, volunteering, and we decided we had to move. We had to go someplace where we could do a better job of serving. A farm wasn't a public-friendly place. And so we had a big decision to make, leaving the farm and going to Bloomington. And as you watch me go through these slides, I'm going to just tell you this. It's easier not to grow. It's easier to do nothing. We had the little shed, and it was serving 10 agencies. Why should we do more? It's not right not to grow. When people are hurting from food insecurity, and others are hurting because they know it and they're trying to help and they can't, people don't want to be in that situation. People don't like to be hungry at home. People don't like to be in poverty. They don't choose that. And so I'm thankful that we can be here and that we can be making a difference. And it's many, many people. Peoria, Illinois in 2007, Indianapolis in 2008, Peachtree City, 2011, Morton, Illinois in 2012, And it looks like that picture was taken at a time I felt like here last night. The snow was blowing. Couldn't believe it. But now you can take your jackets off because here we go to Fort Myers. Fort Myers, Florida in 2014. I want you to take a look at this next slide now and get a kind of a visual of what happens. We bring the food in. It's almost like a Costco or a Walmart, and we have it on the shelves. The agencies can come in and pick it up. And volunteerism is a huge part of what we do. One of our biggest problems at the Midwest Food Bank is too many volunteers. That says America is great. America cares about their neighbors. And I'm standing in front of you telling that I appreciate being able to tell you that. I've seen it over and over and over. Each location that we go to, it takes people, it takes finances, it takes trucks. And here you can see we're now serving, in that particular slide, 1,100 agencies. 1,100 agencies would equal about 700,000 people. The growth chart would indicate that from $120,000 of difference in the first year we started, last year we did, 2015, $116 million worth of relief. Now, could I have ever dreamed that big? No. No, I thought we were dreaming big as a family when we started with 10. But you know what? Empowering other people and letting other people be involved, spreading that out, has got a great way of reaching more people. Here's some of the trucks that we run up and down the road. It makes me think about something when I see these trucks. One thing I want to tell you first, our trucks at Midwest Food Bank should look no different than the trucks that haul all of our food, okay? We make it an effort to make it a first-class operation because people in need are not second-class citizens. They don't want to be there. I was there almost one time. I could have been the served instead of the serving. When I look at those trucks, I think of a sort of a experience I had back in high school, my freshman year. My dad decided it was time to come home and farm. I was going to turn 16 between my freshman and sophomore year, so I didn't see my sophomore year. I don't have a high school diploma. But what was interesting was when I was ready to leave my freshman year, my teachers were pretty gracious to me. They said, David, you've got to get an education. You can't do it without education. They said, if you don't get an education, you're going to pump gas the rest of your life. Well, guess what? 2 years after I dropped out, they made self-serve gas stations. I couldn't even pump gas. But I know one thing. If I'd have been pumping gas yet, when these big boys rolled in, I'd have been pumping a lot of gas in these babies because they take about 300 gallons of fuel. That'd have been quite a tip for me. But no, I say that only because my dad was good. My dad taught me how to work hard. He taught me about a good name is better than gold. He taught me about integrity, respect, helping others. When I was a lad, 7 years old, my mother would buy too many groceries. I couldn't figure it out. Why don't you buy less? She'd fill up a little radial flyer wagon, and she'd have me haul it back up the field to a neighbor. They lived a half mile up a dirt road. There was 8 of those and 9 of us kids. We were just 2 happy families. I didn't know the difference. But after I got older, I realized that Mom and Dad had sort of taken that family under their wing because the dad tried hard, worked hard, but just couldn't quite support that group of people, that family. So again, I've been blessed. I've been blessed to be able to stand here in front of you. The hardest part of what I do is what I'm doing right now. I don't like to speak in front of a group. But you know why I'm here? Because inside of me there's a heart that's beating. When I think about the little boy that said, I got to take this home to my brother, I tell you what, I want to do everything within my being to try to help make a difference to every one of those folks. And so even though I don't like coming up here and speaking in front of a group, I do it on behalf of those that we serve. They'd love to be here and tell you thanks. Thanks for the opportunity that the Midwest Food Bank can be shared with more people because it's going to make it reach more people. So thanks for being here today and listening to the message today. Now here comes Katrina, 2005. Over 1,800 people lost their lives. Millions of people were rendered homeless. Did they want to be? Did they stay there because they wanted to be? No. No. It could have been me. It could have been you. It could have been any of us. It could still be tomorrow. We don't know. There's only one that holds the future. But when this happened, If you remember in 2005, we were still in the green and white building. We weren't in the bigger building yet. And I kept seeing on the news, it was when Katrina hit the Gulf Coast, 1-800-SAL-ARM, 1-800-Red Cross, please help. The biggest natural disaster that ever hit the United States. We weren't ready. But we thought we had one extra load in that little building we had that we could maybe share with the people down in that area. And so we called the Salvation Army, we made arrangements, we started going down. Ended up, my wife and I, in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, at the Salvation Army headquarters. And they had now evacuated to that particular location, people that had stayed during the storm, 15,000 people. So the Salvation Army was faced with providing 45,000 meals to this group of people that they hadn't even knew 2 days prior to that. And so when we got there to unload, we got it all unloaded. It was about 10:30 at night. Farming was my career, so I wanted to go back home and harvest. I was planning on driving hard that night to get back. But before I left, the Salvation Army brothers and captains there, they said, let's have a prayer together before you leave. We'll pray for your safety. So we had to pray, and my wife and I started walking back to the semi. And it was pitch dark because Hattiesburg had been affected by the storm. They had lost their power, their water. They were actually cooking outside the Salvation Army building on gas grills, 80 feet of gas grills, all over. And so we was walking to the truck, and I heard somebody walking up behind me, and it was a captain that was sitting next to me at that little circle where they had a generator running. He said, David, we want you to bring back 10 more semi-loads of food. I said, I will. I have no clue why I said that. I had no idea, because we was at the farm. We didn't have that many loads of food in our building. But I couldn't help but say it because of what I seen. People were displaced. They were getting out of vans holding a pillow or a blanket. That's all they had. Everything was gone. Maybe a relative. By the time the Katrina situation was over, Midwest Food Bank took 165 semi-loads of supplies and food. There's somebody bigger than us that can help us reach out. When it comes to mercy and compassion and caring, there's somebody bigger. And I'm thankful for that, because we get a blessing for those of us that can serve those that need, and I'm sure they would do it back to us if they had the chance. So now Midwest Food Bank has become a national partner with the Salvation Army. We'll do any disaster across the United States. Within 24 hours, we can have a semi-load of food there, their food boxes. The Salvation Army has chosen Midwest Food Bank to contractually be there. In other words, they can depend on us. They call us from their headquarters out of Atlanta, Georgia, and we can respond to them. And this is basically packing those food boxes. A lot of volunteers that would like to go and help, maybe they can't. They can come right to the Midwest area where we're at. They can help pack the boxes. They're touching those that are hurt down there. They're a part of that. So we love the idea that we can actually take the food bank that started, remember, in a 2-car garage. What if we wouldn't have moved that first time to the bigger building on our farm? Or what if we wouldn't have went from the farm to town? We would not have been able to help these folks, okay? Nothing like we are today. And so I encourage everybody, if you're doing good to somebody, keep doing it. Bring others alongside of you and do some more if you can. Here's a program that we took, and we were getting TVP from ADM, semi-loads of it. TVP is textured vegetable protein, very good product, but by itself, it's not very good. So we decided to take this that product and make a recipe. So the University of Illinois, Midwest Food Bank, and ADM, Archer Daniels Midland, came up with a recipe. We had a food equipment manufacturer make this custom-made machine. We can make millions of these meals. So if there's a disaster, or if we need a lot at one time, like I say, that's a unique machine that can take all the ingredients, put them together. And so we're blessed to be able to have that in our Morton facility. And again, we still do it by hand, where we make the packages by hand, because we don't want to cut out the people that want to help. The other day I was at one of our warehouses, and I was watching 2 88-year people, or husband and wife, 88 years old, both in wheelchairs, and they were putting labels on our Tender Mercies package. What a blessing is that? It's not just helping the ones in need, but it's helping those that are back here that might be suffering through days and days of loneliness, and now they're sitting at a food bank helping feed somebody somewhere. Backpack program. Thank you to the young man that said, I'm taking this home to my brother. Think about what he said. She said, you can't do that. He says, from my brother at home. He didn't just take it out of his pocket and put it back down. It was deeper than that. It was more than that. He wanted to help his brother in a way that was He was willing to confront the teacher to help his boy or his brother. And I just feel like when I see this here, it was born because of a third grader trying to help his brother. God bless him, and God bless the teacher and the principal and all the people at the food bank that are willing to make this extra program reach 2,200 kids in Bloomington alone. We have this at every one of our warehouses. I love this saying here. You may choose to look the other way, but you can never again say that you didn't know. Thank you.